What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to JohnnyKpicks. And in this video, I'll be going over my picks and predictions along with my bets so far for UFC London Blaydes versus Aspinall. First things first, please hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new videos or live streams. So UFC Long Island was yesterday, and once again, didn't do the greatest on picks and bets again. I ended up going 7-5 on my picks, and I ended up losing minus 3.6 units. So yeah, I'm not going to make any excuses. I know my picks haven't been the greatest lately, and bets, but I'm in a little rut. I'm going to get out of it, but I really like this card coming up. There's a few good plays and parlays that we could do. Like I said, it's all good. We'll get back in the winning ways here. But some of my favorite fights from yesterday was the Simone Shore fight and the Chanel Sumadarji fight. So I know that Simone's good. He's a really good wrestler, and I ended up picking Shore instead, but man, he's looking better and better in each fight. And I know I said I wasn't too confident with my pick, and as the week went on, I started to favor Simone a little bit more than Shore, but I stuck with my pick. I don't like to change my picks throughout the week, but I didn't bet Shore for anything because I thought that fight was going to be really close, and Simone ended up making it look pretty easy, actually, so good win for him. And with the Chanel Sumadarji fight, man, that was a really good fight, and I have no idea how Chanel did not get KO'd after like 5 elbows to the face right in a row, but he stuck in there. He's a tough guy, and he ended up getting the submission win after he got Sumadarji down on the ground and started raining elbows on him, so that was a good win for him. But I will say, though, going forward, I just can't trust Chanel's chin. He's just very chinny, but he was able to survive, so got to give him credit. And unfortunately, with the main event, with Ortega's fluke shoulder injury, it was unfortunate. I wanted to see that fight. It looked like Yair was getting the better of Ortega in the striking department, and he looked like he was winning like the first 4 minutes of the fight. It was like a weird exchange on the mat, and his shoulder just popped right out. And I don't know if Yair was trying to snatch up like an arm bar or something, but for whatever reason, his shoulder just went out. So it was unfortunate for Ortega, but hopefully they can redo that fight later on. But I think the next fight to make is Yair versus Emmett. I don't think either one of the two should fight Volkanovski, and Volkanovski is injured right now too, so that would be a good fight for the next person to fight Volkanovski. But all right, guys, let's get to my picks and predictions for UFC London. The first fight we have is Ludovic Klein versus Mason Jones. Klein is 18-4, 27 years old, 5'7" with a 72-inch reach, and Jones is 11-1, 27 years old, 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. So Jones is taking this fight on short notice, and honestly, I like Jones to win here too. Klein is a very good striker, and he has really good kicks. But the thing about him, though, is he does tend to fade as the fight goes on. I don't think he has the cardio to go all 3 rounds. But in his last fight, he did look a little bit better, but he started to wrestle more. So I don't know if that was just due to him being tired or if that was the game plan. And also, normally, Klein is a featherweight, too. So he did move up, I think, in his last fight, too. So he's going to be the smaller guy here, but Mason Jones has good striking. He's mainly a boxer, but he also has good wrestling and takedowns. And for me here, I just think Jones is going to be the bigger guy. He's going to be the stronger guy too, and I think he'll be able to wrestle down Klein and just kind of cruise to an easy win. But if it plays out on the feet, it will be close because Klein does have good striking, like I said. So with my pick, I'm going to say Jones wins this one by decision. Next fight we have is Nicholas Dalby versus Claudio Silva. Dalby is 19-4-1, 37 years old, 5'11" with a 74.5-inch reach. And Silva is 14-3, 39 years old, 5'11" with a 71-inch reach. So we have a grappler versus striker fight here. Dalby's going to be the better striker, and Silva's going to be the better grappler here. And make no mistake about it, Silva wants to get this fight to the mat. He's not a good striker. He has okay striking, if you want to say, but he is a grappler. He wants to get you to the mat and submit you. But the problem is with Silva, he does have cardio issues a little bit, so after the first round, he does tend to fade. And with Dalby, he has good takedown defense, and he has good cardio as well, so if he can keep this fight on the feet, I really like his chances. He's going to have the better striking. And he also does have some takedowns he uses, but mainly he's just a striker. I'm going to say Dalby wins. I think he's going to be able to outstrike Silva on the feet, And if he can survive the first round and the submission threat of Silva, he should be able to win this one. So with my pick, I'm going to say Dalby wins by decision. Moving on up the card, we have Mandy Bohm versus Victoria Leonardo. Bohm is 7-1, 32 years old, 5'6" with a 70-inch reach. And Leonardo is 8-4, 32 years old, 5'5" with a 64-inch reach. Okay, so we got the first women's fight of the night, and honestly, this one's a tough one to predict. So for me, Bohm is going to be the better striker, but she also does have good wrestling and grappling. I know in her last fight, she was outstruck by Lipsky, but she was making her UFC debut, and sometimes when fighters do that, they don't look the greatest. But with Leonardo, she's more of a wrestler, grappler. She does want to get this fight to the mat, but she does like to push forward, and she does have okay striking. But for me, I just think with Bohm's 6-inch reach advantage, she should be able to keep this fight on the feet, and she should be able to outstrike Leonardo. I like Bohm to win this one. I'm going to lean her side. I think she's just going to have the better striking. So with my pick, I'm going to say Bohm wins this one by decision. Next fight we have is Jai Herbert versus Kyle Nelson. Herbert is 11-4, 34 years old, 6'1" with a 77-inch reach. And Nelson is 13-4, 31 years old, 5'11" with a 71-inch reach. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting fight. Both guys are mainly strikers, but Herbert's going to be the bigger guy. He's going to have a couple inches of height and like a 6-inch reach advantage. And I know in Herbert's last fight, he lost to Ilia Topuria, but he did look good early on. And he did catch Topuria early, but he ended up losing by knockout eventually. And a little red flag too is that was only 3 months ago. So it's always a little worrisome when fighters come back from a pretty brutal knockout actually. And for Nelson, he's got good striking with power, and he's coming off a knockout loss, but that was almost 2 years ago. And for me, that is a really big red flag, is when fighters take like over a year off, because I have no idea if they improved or if they regressed. You just don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and go with Herbert here. I think he does have the better striking of the two. And then both guys have power, don't get me wrong. But I do think with the reach advantage, I think Herbert will be able to get Nelson out of there early on in the fight. So with my pick, I'm going to say Herbert wins by knockout. Next fight we have is Muhammad Mokaev versus Charles Johnson. Mokaev is 6-0, 21 years old, 5'7" with a 70-inch reach. And Johnson is 11-2, 31 years old, 5'9" with a 70.5-inch reach. So this is going to be the first fight of the night that I'm very interested to see, because both guys are very good. And I know Mokaev has a lot of hype coming in. He's the younger fighter. He's undefeated in his career, but he has very good wrestling and grappling, and he does have good striking as well. But like I said, Johnson's no slouch either. He's got really good striking too, but his weakness for me is the wrestling department. He can be taken down. And like I said, Mokaev has very good wrestling and grappling. And I think that's the clear advantage he's going to have here. And with that advantage, like I said, I got to go with Mokaev here. I do think he'll be able to use his wrestling and take him down. And I don't know if he'll be able to submit him, but if he doesn't, I do think he could be able to win a clear decision win here. But if this fight does stay on the feet, Johnson has a good chance of winning this one too. But I'm just going to go with the more well-rounded fighter here with Mokaev. So with my pick, I'm going to say Mokaev wins this one by a decision. Next fight we have is McCann Amirkhani versus Jonathan Pearce. Amirkhani is 17-7, 33 years old, 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. And Pearce is 12-4, 30 years old, 6 foot with a 71.5-inch reach. So this is a tricky fight to predict as well. Both guys are really good grapplers, but if I had to choose one, I would say Amirkhani is a little bit more dangerous with his submissions. And on the feet, I will give Pearce the advantage here. I think has the little bit more technical striking, but Amirkhani, he wants to get this fight to the mat. He doesn't want to mess around on the feet. But the little red flag for me with Amirkhani is his cardio. He does tend to fade after the first round a little bit. Not that he completely gasses out, but you can tell a difference as the fight goes on. And the way I see this fight playing out is I do think it's going to play out on the mat mainly, either with Pearce on top or with Amirkhani on top. But I'm going to roll the dice, and I'm going to say Amirkhani wins this one. I do think he'll be able to get down Jonathan Pearce early and get that sub win here. So with my pick, I'm going to say Amirkhani wins by a submission. Next fight we have is Nathaniel Wood versus Charles Rosa. Wood is 17-5, 28 years old, 5'6" with a 69-inch reach. And Rosa is 14-7, 35 years old, 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. So for me, Wood's going to be the way better striker in this matchup. He's got really clean boxing. He's really quick with his strikes. And he also does have wrestling in his back pocket if he wants to use it. And with Rosa, he's a grappler. He wants to get this fight to the mat. He wants to try to submit you. And that's about it. Like, he has okay striking, don't get me wrong. And I really like Wood in this matchup. I think he can keep the fight standing. Rosa doesn't have the greatest takedowns. And also, he has very bad takedown defense. So if Wood wants to try to get those takedowns, I think he can. But I don't think he'll need to use those takedowns. He can win this fight on the feet with just his boxing alone. So with my pick here, I'm going to pick Wood to win. And I'm going to say he wins by decision. And this is one of my no-brainer picks of the night. Moving on up the card, we have Diakiese versus Hadzovic. Diakiese is 15-5, 29 years old, 5'10" with a 73-inch reach. And Hadzovic is 14-6, 35 years old, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. Okay, so here's another one of my no-brainer picks of the night. But Diakiese is going to be the way better striker here. And he also showed off really good wrestling in his last fight. And with Demir, he's got okay striking with good power. But his wrestling is kind of iffy too, and his takedown defense is not great at 38%. So for me, I think Diakiese has him beat anywhere this fight goes. I think he's going to have the advantage on the feet. I think he's going to have the advantage on the mat, and he could do whatever he wants. But I think since he did show good wrestling in his last fight, he's going to mix in some takedowns here and there. But I also think he can win this one on the feet. So with my pick, I'm going to say Diakiese wins this one, and I'm going to say by decision. Next fight we have is Paul Craig versus Volkan Oezdemir. Craig is 16-4-1, 34 years old, 6'3" with a 76-inch reach. And Oezdemir is 17-6, 32 years old, 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. Okay, so this fight is pretty easy to break down here. Craig is going to be the way better grappler, and Volkan's going to be the way better striker. But Craig does have okay striking, and he might be able to hang around a little bit if he wants to try, but I don't think he's going to try that. He knows what he needs to do. He knows his clear advantage in this fight, and that's going to be his grappling, like I said. And all he needs to do is just get this fight to the mat at one way or another, whether it's pull guard, whether it's a takedown, whether it's a slip of Volkan, however he does it. But Volkan does have good takedown defense at 80%, so I don't know if Craig's going to be able to take him down very easily, but we'll see. And I know in a lot of Craig's fights, he looks like he's going to lose, and he ends up winning by submission, like with 1 second left, or he looks like he's going to get knocked out on the ground, and then he pulls off a weird triangle choke. But I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice here. And I'm going to say Craig does get this fight to the mat somehow. And once he does it, he just needs it to happen once. And he's going to get a submission here. So with my pick, I'm going to go with the more dangerous fighter, which I think is Craig here. And I think he wins by submission. Moving on up the card, we have Molly McCann versus Hannah Goldy. McCann is 12-4, 32 years old, 5'4" with a 62-inch reach. And Goldy is 6-2, 30 years old, 5'4" with a 61-inch reach. Okay, so yet another no-brainer pick for me, but McCann is a very solid striker, has good boxing, and she loves to push forward and be aggressive. And I will say she does have good takedowns in wrestling, but she's mainly a striker. And with Goldy, she's got decent striking and decent grappling, but I just don't think she's on the same level as McCann. Goldy is coming off a good win against Emily Whitmore, but she got taken down a couple of times, but she did end up getting the sub off her back, so that was a good win for her, but I just wasn't impressed with her in that fight other than that one submission. And I just think Molly McCann's going to be the better overall fighter here on the feet and wrestling too, so with my pick, I'm going to say Molly McCann wins by decision. Next fight we have is Nikita Krylov versus Alexander Gustafsson. Krylov is 27-9, 30 years old, 6'3" with a 77.5-inch reach. And Gustafsson is 18-7, 35 years old, 6'5" with a 79-inch reach. Okay, so this is another interesting fight of the night. Krylov has good striking with good wrestling, but you can say he has questionable fight IQ after his last fight. But he was dominating that fight before that. And Gustafsson has good striking himself, but he's coming off a 2-year layoff. And again, I don't like it when fighters do that. And he's getting older too. And I know he's had some really good wins in the past, but we don't know what shape he's going to be in, if he improved or not. So we're going to have to see here. But I do see this fight playing out on the feet. I don't think Krylov is going to try to wrestle Gustafsson. I think he'll try to I think he'll try to use his technical strikes to outstrike him. And like I said, I just can't trust fighters that are coming off a 2-year layoff or more. So I'm going to pick Krylov here. He's going to be the younger fighter. He's going to be more active. And I do like his striking a little bit better. So with my pick, I'm going to say Krylov wins this one by a decision. Next fight we have is Paddy Pimblett versus Jordan Leavitt. Pimblett is 18-3, 27 years old, 5'10 with a 73-inch reach. And Leavitt is 10-1, 27 years old, 5'9 with a 71-inch reach. Oh yeah, so this is going to be the fight of the card. And I know everybody loves Paddy, but he is a very well-rounded fighter. He's got good grappling, and he's got pretty good striking as well with power. But we all know he has holes in his game. He can be hittable at times. But in this fight, I think he's going to be okay with that because Leavitt is a grappler, and that's it. Like, he's got a weird style of striking. He's just an overall weird guy anyways, but he's got good submissions, and it is hard for him to take people down. But for me, there's a clear path to victory for Paddy here, and that's to keep the fight standing. All he needs to do is just push forward. He needs to make sure he doesn't get taken down, which I think he can do, and just be the bully in this fight and make this fight a brawl, because I don't think Leavitt's going to be able to hang with him on the feet. He can't match his power either, and I do think eventually Paddy will be able to catch him with one of his strikes. So with my pick here, I'm going to say Paddy wins this one by a knockout. But I will say I have been picking Leavitt lately, but I just can't pick him in this fight. I think Paddy should win this one fairly easily. Okay, co-main event time here. We have Jack Hermansson versus Chris Curtis. Hermansson is 22-7, 34 years old, 6'1 with a 77.5-inch reach. And Curtis is 29-8, 35 years old, 5'10 with a 75-inch reach. So this is a very interesting matchup as well. Chris Curtis is taking this fight on short notice, and he looked really good in his last fight against Vieira, stuffing all of Vieira's takedowns, mind you, and he outstruck him to a pretty comfortable decision win. But he's a very good striker, and he likes to work the body a lot, which I do like to see in fighters. And Hermansson, we all know he's a very good grappler, but it's really hard for him to take people down sometimes. And Chris Curtis, like I said, he's got very good takedown defense, and I just don't see Hermansson taking him down. So this fight is going to play out on the feet, and if that's the case, I got to go with Chris Curtis here, even on short notice. He's got good cardio, he's got good power as well, and he does throw a lot of volume. And also, Hermansson's chin can be a little chinny at times too, so with my pick here, I'm going to say Chris Curtis wins by a knockout. Alright, main event time here. We have Curtis Blaydes versus Tom Aspinall. Blaydes is 16-3, 31 years old, 6'4 with an 80-inch reach. And Aspinall is 12-2, 29 years old, 6'5 with a 78-inch reach. Okay, so I am super excited for this fight. But Blaydes is an amazing wrestler. He's got good striking with good power as well. And in his recent fights, he has shown us that he is working on his striking, so it is improving. And Aspinall, for me, he is super well-rounded. He's got very good boxing. He's got very good grappling and wrestling. And this is a tough fight to predict because I could see both guys winning it, but I ended up going with Aspinall here. I think he's just going to be a little too quick for Blaydes. He has the BJJ. If he does get taken down, he can get back up. And honestly, if he goes for takedowns first against Blaydes, I think he can get Blaydes down too, because Blaydes' takedown defense is only 33%, and he's used to being the one taking people down. So I think that's an advantage that Aspinall has, along with his quick strikes. But I don't think it's going to be an easy win for Aspinall here. Blaydes has only lost to power punchers, and he lost to Ngannou twice and Derek Lewis. But like I said, I'm going to go with Aspinall. He's my pick. I just think wherever the fight goes, I think Aspinall will be able to take advantage of wherever it goes. So with my pick, I'm going to say Aspinall wins this one, and I'm going to say it's going to be by a knockout. Alright guys, those are my picks and predictions for UFC London, but let's jump right into my bets so far. So the first bet I have is an underdog bet. I bet 1 unit on Paul Craig to win, and I got that at plus 125. So like I said in my prediction, I just think somehow, some way, Craig is going to get this fight to the mat like he always does, and he's just going to wrap up a submission against Volkan. It's just that in the light heavyweight division, there's just not a lot of great submission guys that are in the top division. So I think Paul Craig catches a lot of these fighters off guard because he's super dangerous, and most of them just want to strike. And I'm sure this fight will look dicey because that's how Craig fights usually go. But at plus money and the role that he's been on, I got to take a stab at this one at plus 125. And when the sub props come out, I'm probably going to throw a little bit of money on that as well. The next bet I have is a 3-fighter parlay. I bet 1.5 units on Mokaev, Paddy, and Wood to win, and I got that at plus 110. So for all three of these fighters, I think they have clear advantages in their matchups. With Mokaev, all he needs to do is wrestle, and I think he's going to be able to win this fight fairly easily. And with Paddy and Wood, they just need to keep the fight standing and just outstrike their opponents because they're going to have the clear advantage there. But I really think this is a good parlay at plus money. And I'm really confident in all three of these guys. And my last bet is another underdog bet, but he's not an underdog anymore. I bet 1.25 units on Aspinall to win, and I got that at plus 110. So I think Aspinall is around a minus 120, 125 favorite. So the value might be on Curtis Blaydes' side right now, but like I said in my predictions, I like Aspinall's overall game. He may not have the advantage in the wrestling department, but he does have good BJJ that can counter that. And I just think one way or another, whether it's by a knockout, a submission, or even a decision, I think Aspinall will come out victorious here. So I got it at plus money, so I'm willing to roll the dice on Aspinall. Alright guys, those are my picks and predictions and bets so far for UFC London. Thank you everybody for watching, and on your way out, please hit that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check back in the comment section of this video or my Instagram page for any added bets throughout the week. I hope everybody enjoys the fights this weekend, and until next time, happy fight night.